Hello, I am Mohammed Ahmed, a student of Robert Kennedy College, who is finishing the last unit of my MBA, major in leadership and management. In this recording, I will be engaging Mr. YY, an employee in my organization. Organization name is XJ, a non-profit organization in Eastern Africa, specifically in Kenya, whose main role is eliminating child marriage practices in Eastern Africa. Say hello, Mr. YY.
Hello.
To begin with, I will walk you through live session where I am talking to him about this role and also about how he can help me in some other ideas I have about my organization and see how we can integrate them in the organization well-being. But before I take him through, I would like to make it clear to Mr. YY that this recording will be made available to my tutors or a moderator and maybe an external examiner for them to watch or listen, depending on the form of coaching I have chosen, and making clear the availability of the recording. Mr. YY agreed with me and was confident that of the recordings. This session is about using role discretion, but also a coaching meeting to look at how employee can better engage and help their boss to address these issues. Mr. YY,
Okay. I think there are three key issues that are of great importance here and need to be addressed so as to attain the organization's objectives, which include creating awareness to the members of the communities so that they can be informed on the negative impacts of these practices, which include FGM, child early child marriages, and teenage pregnancies. The second point is educating the community in order for them to abandon these practices. And lastly, sustaining the eradication of the practices by educating the parents on equal rights for both boys and girls and letting them bear in mind that girls can do better what boys can do. On the same note, an educated woman is usually perceived as equally educating the whole community, and women are known to be the backbone of the society.
in order for this to be practiced, we need to understand what the coaching is. Professional coaching is a systematic, theoretically grounded, and a good directed process which is designed to facilitate sustained change as well as intended to foster the ongoing self-directed personal growth and learning. Mr. YY, what is your understanding regarding child marriage in your country, if I may ask?
In many settings, child marriage marks the beginning of frequent and unprotected sexual intercourse, leading to a greater risk of sexually transmitted infections, HIV, early pregnancy, and a high number of children with limited spacing. Close to half of children are married when they are below the age of 18. Of the married children, statistically, 19% in 19% in the country are married when they are below 14 years. 43.9% are married between 15 to 18 years, and that 6.7% between 19 to 24 years. Out of these children who had ever been married, 96% are female. The child marriage rate among female children aged 18 to 24 years is 22%. Significantly, more females than males have experienced child marriage. Children who dropped out of school due to marriage are mostly female. In totality, 3.6% children are out of school because of early, arranged, or forced marriages, and 1.6% of the female children aged 15 to 17 years dropped out of school because of child marriage. It should be noted that these figures have a high probability to be underreported. The average gap between married young women and their partners is mostly 9 years. This is in line with the qualitative finding that young women are married off to older men in exchange for financial benefits for the parents of the young women. The qualitative data indicates that traditional marriage involve, involves consent from families and payments of dowry before marriage. The decision to marry was reported to be often as a result of coercion or as a means of addressing other issues such as pregnancy, extreme poverty, peer pressure, or persevering family or preserving family honor.
Are there country-specific drivers of child marriage in this country?
Yes, child marriage is driven by gender inequality and the belief that girls are somehow inferior to boys. In this country that I've named X, child marriage is heightened by one, poverty, and going deeper on the poverty point, girls living in poor households are twice as likely to marry at the age of 18 as girls in higher income households. Um, a report by UNICEF that was carried out in 2016 shows that girls are often seen as assets or as an economic burden rather than individuals with rights, which is a breach of their rights. Fathers from the most impoverished communities will arrange the marriage of the daughters in exchange for a bribe wealth that can can compromise between cattle, camels, and donkeys. The second driver is the level of education. There are plans that reports that country X girls who drop out of schools for any reason are more likely to end up married. Some parents reportedly withdraw girls from schools and marry them off as they menstruate, that is, they reach puberty stage. Another driver is the harmful traditional practices. Within a certain community named Z, bidding is an harmful traditional practice whereby a close family relative will approach a girl's parents with red beads and place the necklace around the girl's neck. This signifies a temporary arrangement of the relative and the girl, and the relative can then have sex with her. Some girls are beaded as group. Some girls, sorry, some girls are beaded as young as 6 years old, and it is estimated that 3 in 4 girls in the 8 to 12 age group are beaded. Beading is recognized as a form of child rape under the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. The last point is female genital mutilation. While the national prevalence of FGM is 21% in some communities, it is near universal. For most communities in country Z, FGM is seen as a sign of readiness for marriage and generally occurs between the age of 9 and 17. Girls who have undergone FGM attract higher bride price compared to those who haven't.
Mr. YY, are there any other drivers that contribute to the existence of these kinds of early child marriage or forced marriage?
Yes, there are more other drivers that contribute to these practices. For instance, adolescence pregnancy. Child marriage is seen as a safeguard against immoral behavior and the ultimate protection from male sexual attention. Um, a report that was carried out, that was put forward in 2012, shows that parents in a certain region married off pregnant girls to protect their family status and name and to receive both dowry and a penalty payment for the man responsible for the pregnancy. Children are respected more when their mother is married and become children of the home rather than children of the field. Another driver is poor law enforcement. While the Children's Act prohibits child marriage, authorities do not see it as their job to prevent it. Birth and marriage registration are rarely produced or verified at the point of marriage. Cases of child marriage taken to court for prosecution are delayed or not completed because of corruption. Community and religious leaders are also seen to resist the enforcement of these laws that protect children from early marriages. Another driver is escape. Some girls end up marriages to escape strict and controlling parents, orphanhood, and negligence from carers. Humanitarian settings can encompass a wide range of situations before, during, and after natural disasters, conflicts, and epidemics. Last but not least, another driver to early childhood marriage is displacement. As of November 2019, country Z hosted nearly 500,000 refugees and asylum seekers, mainly from neighboring countries, with high prevalence to child marriage. While we lack concrete evidence of child marriage taking place in country Z refugee camps, displacement increases girls' vulnerability to child marriage due to breakdown of social networks, the lack of protection systems, and the increased risk of sexual violence.
Uh, Saying all above, I would like also again ask one more. What can you comment on teenage pregnancy in your country or these eastern countries or this region?
The overall teenage pregnancy rates among young women aged 20 to 24 in the country is statistically 42%. 12% of all female children aged 15 to 24 have dropped out of school because of a pregnancy. 9.8% of the female children aged 15 to 19 dropped out of school because of teenage pregnancy. Also, here, these might be underreported, so take note on that. None of the young men are reported to have left school as a result of impregnating a girl. About half of the female children who have had a teenage pregnancy and child marriage, 44.7% married before the teenage pregnancy occurred, 17.4% had first the teenage pregnancy and then married, and 33.3% have experienced both teenage pregnancy and child marriage in the last year.
There is another factor that is a major contributor of the severances of the female gender, and that is FGM. Will you be able to share with me the experiences and knowledge that you may have of a female genital mutilation practices in your country or in the region where your country is located?
Female genital mutilation, as you put it, is a broad topic, but to sum it up, it comprises all procedures involving partial or total removal of the external female genitalia, or rather, injuries to the female genital organs for non-medical reasons, but for other cultural practice reasons. Statistically, between 100 to 140 million girls and women in the world are estimated to have undergone FGM, and more than 3 million girls are at risk every year. Approximately half the female children, that is 51.8%, are reported to have undergone FGM. Additionally, about 6% of the children reported that FGM is a social norm, with the majority of the children reporting that FGM is carried out at ceremonies. At the same time, the majority of the parents report that they have no desire to circumcise their daughters.
Now, to conclude our session, in this session of ours today, I am going to adopt the point that Mr. YY proposed during this session. Which are creating awareness to the members of the communities in the countries and educating them on the dangers of the FGM and early child or forced or arranged marriage. Last but not the least, for the members of this community to be able to sustain eradication or elimination of these cruelty practices, we are going to encourage them to treat children of both genders, that is, girls and boys, equally to preserve their rights. Thank you for listening to this session. I am Muhammad Ahmed.